Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Johnny H is with me. As always, I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things that you all love. Guys, we got another 24 hours. Actually, it's 48 hours because yesterday we were out all day at the Reading game, Tottenham Reading. And in the last 48 hours, quite a lot has changed. We apologise for our absence yesterday. We were trying to squeeze a way to find the time to get it back in, but we couldn't make it work. In any event, please do smash the like button for us if you enjoy the content. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Links in the description for audio podcasts and all that stuff down there. Spotify and Apple, if you want to do that, please do show your love and hit the 5-star review and a follow. The choo-choo train can start whenever you like, guys. Really appreciate all of your support.
It's already started. If you're wondering where Sean really was yesterday, he was at the Coldplay concert, guys. With his mate Daniel,
my chairman.
Yeah, listen, it was a good day out yesterday. Sean really loved it. Yeah, it was a bit difficult for us to tie it all in because not the easiest place to get to Reading for some unknown reason, but we managed to find a way and find a car spot thanks to someone in the chat. And thanks very much for that. Otherwise, we could have been parked further away. It wasn't the most exciting game in the world in that first half, but it certainly perked up quite a bit in the second with Vuskovic. His fantastic cameo, 45-minute appearance, which really made you sit up and watch and think, oh, my God, what have we got here? But no, the weather's crap, so I'm glad. I hope you're all here from wherever you're from. If you just dropped in for the first time, let us know who you support and where you're from, because we got people dropping in from all over the place. Just informed by someone today, they're watching from Saudi Arabia. We got Peru, we got the States, we got Asia, and we got Croydon. What more do you want?
Guys, I'll be dropping in the comments thick and fast as we go in through. Just a quick, the Super Sticker train has left Football Inc. Junction, and it is picking up Drewzilla over in Kansas. Good to see you, Drew. Thank you very much. We'll be over there shortly to pick you up, buddy. We are picking everybody up today. We've got so much to talk about. Thank you very much, Drew. Always much love to you, mate. You're such a wonderful, wonderful guy and a wonderful supporter of the channel. Johnny, mate, there's so many places to start, my man. So many places to start. Let's start with this story that's breaking. And I can't believe I'm even saying this because it's madness. But there's rumours out there from E. coli, the guy that's out in Portugal, that's saying that Manchester United are planning to now jump ahead of Viktor Gyökeres in the race jump ahead of Arsenal in the race to sign Gyokeres. Now that is a report that's denied by Ben Jacobs, but Ben Jacobs and E. coli, I don't know how you say his name, Ben Jacobs says a lot. I love Ben. I've met him. Lovely guy. I've shared a stream with him a couple of times. Lovely fella. He does like to say things that often don't come true, and he often has to reverse engineer some of the arguments. And E. coli, however you say his name, he is a guy that is more in tune with the Portuguese league. Johnny, is there any chance at all that Gyokeres is going anywhere other than Arsenal? And by the way, why is it still not done? What's going on?
I've got to be honest. I think Bertie is like that with Gyokeres. And I think it's way, way down the line. You know what this story's come about? From Manchester United's absolutely abysmal performance yesterday against Leeds in the 0-0 friendly. They probably looked at that and thought, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. It was good to see Matheus Cunha being level-handed as he lost his shit in the game when he didn't get a pass. Always a top way to endear yourself with your new colleagues when you start losing it just because someone else tried to kick the ball instead of you. But I can't see any way that Man United can do this. They don't have the money to do it unless they know that the Rashford deal, which we'll come on to, and the Jadon Sancho deal might relieve them of some wages and give them some flexibility. I can't see it so easily. I I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I can't see it, Sean. I'll be brutally honest. I think he had his heart set on Arsenal.
Yeah.
If you're going to choose anywhere, you're going to choose Arsenal right now. You're not going to get that done. You're not going to convince Gyokeres, despite Amorim being there, to go to Man United who are in turmoil, as opposed to Arsenal, who look like they have a championship, a title-winning crack at this team. So I can't see it. No, I think it's a non-story, and I side with Ben Jacobs on that one, mate.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just something to put out there last minute. But it's still very odd though that there's no movement still. You know, I've just been listening to some various podcasts. My boy Sava's been saying, you know, Tottenham are a little bit like, you know, we're gun shy here. We're not doing enough quickly enough. Gyokeres' transfer is the most drawn out transfer of the summer, isn't it? And even Zubimendi was done like day one, official or unofficially.
Yeah,
it had to be officially done about 6 weeks later. It's been crazy with Arsenal, isn't it?
Listen, look, Zubimendi, right? They were trying to get Zubimendi last summer. It's been lined up all of the season, okay? And even that took time. And if we're going to go for records, I think Victor Osimhen, which is now 79 days and still counting, that they've been trying to do this deal. And that's not even including the fact that they were talking about him last season, even though he was on loan. So, no. But what I will say is that the dominoes are starting to fall, and it's starting to have an effect on everybody. So, here we go. Ekitike, right, is definitely going to mean now, here we go, Diaz to Bayern Munich. If Bayern Munich, as expected, up the price for Diaz. They offered 59 million euros to begin with. That's not going to be enough. I reckon they're looking for about 69 million. And then that deal will be done. And I think if you look at the trade, I think that's a fantastic deal. As much as I love Luis Diaz, Ekitike is 22 years of age. When you look at the outlay, I think that's fantastic. And the extras, the add-ons, there's quite a lot of added extras. And if they're successful, they'll be happy to pay them.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fairly fast-moving story. Liverpool, for me, feel like they are just in the mood this summer. They're in the mood to not mess around, to get things done. You talk about Luis going the other direction. For what it's worth, there is also a story out from CF Bayern.
Sorry, I've just seen. If you're wondering why I'm laughing, if you're listening on audio, sorry, it was a bit spontaneous. Drew Ziller in the comments has put, let's be fair, we're talking about, you know, time it takes to deal. We've been working on the Damau deal for years. How many windows was he coming to Spurs? Lots.
Yeah, several. More windows than in a hotel, I think.
Thanks, Drew.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much, my man. We also got a super sticker train. We're stopping off. Where are you from, Mohammed Abid? Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. Let us know where we're picking you up from, buddy. Thank you very much for the super sticker.
Choo. From Saudi. I'm not sure. It could be. Let's see.
Let us know where you're from, Mohammed. Let us know, mate. Thank you very much, and thank you, Drew. Johnny, the story I was bringing to your attention there was that according to CF Bayern, who is of course up there with Plettigol for the kind of news regarding all things Bayern Munich, he's come out and said that Bayern Munich have made contact with Leandro Trossard about a potential move. Even though Arsenal are preparing a new contract offer, the German club are prepared to offer a higher salary. To me, this one, Luis Diaz or Leandro Trossard. To me, Trossard is more of a player that's a rotation player. He's not a starter. Bayern Munich are looking for a starter to come in and fill the void left by Sane and Musiala. So I think this is probably a bit of a gamesmanship where they're trying to make Liverpool realise that they're not that you can't just, you know, it's not like you're the only fish that we're trying to hook here.
Liverpool, I've got no interest, right? Pay up or he stays. And I believe they believe that and will do that now that, you know, the sad news of what happened with Jota. I don't think they've got any. Listen, what we do know is if you bring Luis Diaz into that team, he's going to create so much space for Harry Kane to exploit. He's the guy that they need to have. no question about it. But there's players floating around, Sean, that aren't getting deals, and there's some players floating around that I'd love to see snapped up right now that haven't been. Simmons is still out there, and
I think Simmons will be the more likely replacement for Musiala. Personally, I think that Diaz, whatever, someone else will come in and play off the left. Rodrigo, whoever will come in and play off the left to replace the obvious absence of Leroy Sané. But for Musiala I mean, he's out for 6 months or a season probably, right? So it's a long time. But it begs the question: like, if you're going in and getting a Xavi Simmons who's 22? What happens when Musiala's back next season? I know it's like kick the can down the road, and it's not a problem that you have to worry about now. But is Simmons going to want to be around at Bayern Munich when Musiala's back? Because Musiala's the best 10 in the world. In my opinion. One of them anyway. Top three.
Listen, you just get. For me, Luis Diaz is the one for sure. That's the one you go and get. I don't think they've got any interest right now in doing any other deal other than that right this minute. There might be deals afterwards, but now...
Who plays in the 10 then with Musiala's absence?
Well, maybe they'd go for both, but this is the deal they want to get over the line. Because if Diaz does become available, there's a chance for someone else to nip in. I don't think Liverpool are desperate to sell him, and therefore you're going to have to pay the money. Yeah.
But then, but Diaz isn't happy. I think Diaz wants out, especially if Ekitike comes in. You're not paying 85 million quid or 80 million quid, whatever the deal is for Ekitike. You're not paying that, and then him being he's going to come in as the obvious starter, and Diaz is going to be a bench guy.
Yeah, but Diaz ain't going to be on the bench because, like I said to you, they've known all along that Bayern Munich have got the hots for Diaz. They've been after him since before the deal for before Musiala got injured. They were interested in him. So I don't think one thing's got anything to do with the other. They could end up with both. Listen, there's nothing wrong with strength in depth, Sean. Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree on that one. I think that Ekitike is an opportunity that's come along. That they wanted Isak and they've come out. I believe they've come out. This is just my take. I believe that they've gone to Newcastle. We want Isak, and Newcastle have said not happening. And they said, well, then you're not getting Isak and Ekitike, so we'll get him. And now that there's the willingness to know that Luis Diaz might want to go to Bayern Munich and that he's throwing his toys out the pram a little bit, that Bayern Munich want to come in and buy Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, I think, would be more than happy to go. Liverpool might not want to sell, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to keep an unhappy player, especially when you've just bought a player that's younger, that's costing more, that has more potential, more upside, and then put him on the bench. So Luis Diaz is going to be, you've got to contemplate the player power here a little bit, in my opinion. And then the fact that the Trossard story's out there, as I say, my whole take is that the Trossard story is just a red herring to let Bayern Munich know, to let Liverpool know, yes, we want your boy, and yes, your boy wants to come to us, and yes, you might want to think that it's pay up or go away, but there are other options out there.
Right. No, don't believe it at all. They want Diaz, end of. And let me tell you something, Liverpool were always after the striker because they need Darwin Núñez gone, and Darwin Núñez, has waited almost as long as Victor Osimhen to get the Napoli deal done, to move to Napoli. That was his number one choice. But because of the Osimhen dragging on, that deal's done now with Napoli signing the Udinese striker. So they have got a block on there, but I expect to see Darwin Núñez go. I expect to see Luis Diaz go. And I expect Liverpool to carry on signing. I expect them to sign another player. I expect them to sign another centre-back as well. So it's going to be interesting.
That'll be interesting. A couple of super chats here. We've got a super sticker train. We're going over to Norway. We're going over to northern Norway. Roy Viking, good to see you, mate. Can't see what the sticker is as always, mate. I'm sorry, but thank you very much for the super sticker. It's a nice one as well. Appreciate you, buddy. Very, very cool. Where have we been so far? We've been to Kansas. I'm not sure if Mohammed let us know where he's at.
Morocco.
Mohammed's in Morocco. So we're a multi-train ownership model today. We're popping all over the world to pick everybody up. And we ended up at top of the table junction. Thank you very much indeed, Roy. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Mohammed. Spurs GC TV. Graham, great to meet you. Is this the Graham we met yesterday? Outside?
Yes.
I think this is Spurs. I think this is you. Great
Well,
to meet
Graham
you.
had
Towards you, mate.
trouble. Yeah, Graham had trouble with the membership for some reason, but I think he's looking to sort that out. But yes, that could be him. But we met Graham, introduced you to him yesterday. I mean,
Good to see you, Graham, mate. Still side of time here in Gloucestershire. We appreciate it. It was you, mate.
It's not. It's not. It's a different. It's a different.
Oh, it's not you. Oh, different Graham. My bad. Not sure who the other Graham was then. Graham. I was like,
Graham is a member. The other Graham is a member and a regular watcher. Watches every show.
Appreciate you, Graham. Appreciate this, Graham. Appreciate this Spurs GCTV as well, mate. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Johnny, where are we going next with the next story?
Man United, mate. I want to talk Man United. There's a player that you and I have spoken about who I've loved him for quite a long time. And it looked like Spurs had missed out on him. He went to Juventus, was outstanding. Juventus can't really afford him. PSG want to sell him. They can't really. They want to sell him. Juventus can't really afford him. They're trying to do a loan deal. Now there's news coming out. Manchester United are very interested in signing Randall Kolo Muani. And Newcastle are the other team who are interested in the player. This is a player, right? Really, that you can pick up. What do they quote? They paid 90 million euros for him.
Yeah, 45 million euros we can get him for.
They're now looking for 45 million euros. And when you look at all the prices going for these players around Europe right now, that to me looks like an absolute bargain. He hit the ground running at Juventus. He did well at the Club World Cup. So I think he's a really good opportunity. I wouldn't mind my club. I would have loved Spurs to have gone for Kolo Muani, but that ain't going to happen. They're also interested in signing Brazilian midfielder Gabriel Sara, this time from Turkey, from Galatasaray. They've got an interest in him and are also...
This is the Turkey segment. The Turkey segment of the show.
Well, we're signing up a players leaving Turkey to come to mainland Europe, Johnny.
I cannot believe it, Sean. I cannot believe it. There's two players that, they thought they could keep Gabriel Sara, but he's, the lure of Manchester United was too much for them. And what's his name? Cole Walker Peters. So, excuse me, I was thinking he looked like he was going to sign for Besiktas, but at the last minute he's now signed for West Ham. So that's another one that's done. And Manchester United are also looking to complete a move for Antwerp goalkeeper Seny Lamens. Now, I don't know Seny Lamens. I've got to be honest.
No,
is that really the replacement?
How do you spell his name?
Seny, Senne. Lamens, Lamens. It's probably 12 years of age. It's probably 12 years.
Look at his FB refs.
And while you're doing that, Man United have a verbal agreement in place with Valencia midfielder Javi Guerra. So Manchester United looking to do deals, but not necessarily the massive deals that we thought that they would be doing.
Tell you what. I've never actually looked at a goalkeeper on FB refs before, but it's much easier to break down because there's obviously very little you need to know about
and kicking.
What's that?
Catching, kicking, and saves.
Yeah, well, here, look, check this out, right? So all the stats are obviously goalkeeper-related stats, right? So he's in the 99th percentile for saves per game, 4.34 saves from 5.54. So he's got a save percentage of 81%. That's actually really, really, really good. Really strong. Really strong.
Never heard of him. I've
never heard of him either, to be honest. But that's good scouting, maybe, right? Penalty saved, XG minus. You know what? Like I say, I've never even looked at the stats for a goalkeeper like this before. That's wild. Crosses stopped, 96th percentile, 11.2%, 99th percentile. Maybe they've run the gauntlet on this guy, mate, and. Maybe they found a player that. How old is he? Let's have a look. He is 193, so he's 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". Oh yeah, he goes 6'4". There you go, it says it right there.
He's 23.
£3. He's a big lump. He's a lump of a fella, and he's 23 years old from Zottegem, Belgium. I don't know anything about him, never heard of him, but his stats look handy, mate. Stats look handy.
We bring you news here first. I mean, I wouldn't mind just to bring this up, but I brought to Sean's attention, and we started looking at a player a few weeks back called Armand Jashari, and it looks like now that every YouTube is now claiming responsibility for unearthing this gem. How very dare they? How very dare they? And Sean has just gone. I can't press the button actually for the disappearing because Sean controls that part of it. Sean's disappeared off screen. If you're listening on audio, all right. Back to Newcastle, who I think are in a bit of a pickle. Newcastle are in a bit of a pickle, Sean. Paul Mitchell leaving at the end of May, I think has really set the cat amongst the pigeons, because I think there would have been a plan for signings. And since he's gone, it's really been left with Eddie Howe and a few of his associates, right, to try and make bids for various players that seem to have fallen by the wayside. Not one, not two, 4 or 5. I mean, I know they've got Anthony Elanga, but it's the only one they've got out over the line out of the 5 or 6 players that they wanted to get. And there's another one.
They're punching to a ridiculously high level, mate.
Well,
they are punching to a high level. Like, let's just bring it back to Tottenham for a split second here to make the comparison. Tottenham fans get annoyed by the fact that we don't go after players that Chelsea or Arsenal or whatever can get. Newcastle have been trying to attract players of a super high level, and then as soon as they are a perfect template of the reason why know your place in the pecking order should be a thing, because it gets all these Newcastle fans excited by the idea we're going to sign Ekitike, we're going to sign this, we're going to sign that, we're going to sign out the other. And generally speaking, yeah, look, reach for the stars, land on the moon or whatever, land on the sky, whatever the phrase is. But at the same time, if they continue to try to punch at a level that they're not going to be able to track the second that a big team comes in and goes, oh, you've got the green light? No. We've got the greener light.
So that's where I was going, right? So that's where I was going.
Oh, sorry,
don't worry. So that's where I was going. So basically, first of all, they had to sell Alexander Isak home. Now, whether or not Alexander Isak, there was genuinely a bid from Liverpool, and he knows about it. And they said, look, it ain't happening. And he's kicked his toys out the pram, and they've sent him home. They had a disastrous result yesterday, losing 4-0, which was awful. But now comes the news that their long pursuit of James Trafford seems to have fallen apart. Now, they say they've pulled away, but they just happen to have pulled away from the deal just as Manchester City are suddenly working on a deal to bring James Trafford to Manchester City. No coincidence at all. And I just wonder right now whether, Newcastle are sort of treading water, losing. I think is that not their second or third director of football that they've had at Newcastle since the new owners? There's definitely been 2. There might have been 3.
Someone went back. Someone went back for a second run, I think.
Yes, they did. They did indeed. But look, Newcastle, they're not going to get their man, and they're not going to get their goalkeeper. There's a few goalkeepers out there right now that the merry-go-round is going to happen. And speaking facts, United have made it clear that they don't want to bring in a starting goalkeeper. Look, I think they want to get rid of Onana. But the fact is, Onana doesn't want to go, but they were trying to get rid of him. There was interest from Monaco. Unfortunately, Onana getting injured is favourable for him and not favourable for Manchester United, because I think they would definitely have loved to sign Martinez. And I think Martinez would only be too happy to go there. I still think Martinez could end up at Chelsea personally, but we shall see where that one goes. So Newcastle, going for players. They've gone for João Pedro. They've gone for Ekitike. They've gone for Trafford. They've gone for a couple of midfielders that it's not happening for them. Yeah. And there's interest in Gordon potentially leaving the club. So we shall see where we go with that one, Sean.
Do you think James Trafford's good enough for Manchester City? Because the story that aligned with that was that Edison is agreeable to the idea of going to was it to Saudi or was it to Turkey? I thought it was to Galatasaray, wasn't it?
Was it? I thought it was Saudi Arabia. We might be wrong.
I think double check. I'm pretty sure Edison. Where's Edison going? Edison is going to Turkish Giants submit incredibly low bid for Man City goalkeeper Edison. So it's still the Turkey segment of the show, mate. Still the Galatasaray putting together all sorts of options, mate. It's quite wild how much interest there is in these top players that are still at their peak. But Edison's not necessarily on the downgrade. He's been around a long time, but he's not necessarily on the downgrade. But all of a sudden, Turkish football seems to be the new hotspot, doesn't it, around Europe?
I'll tell you what we do need, Sean. We need a eBay FC section for Chelsea. Because, I mean, honestly and truthfully, it's like not a day goes by where they're buying 5 and selling 5. And the latest is Chelsea defender Renato Vega is now a strong target for Atletico Madrid. Chelsea are prepared to sell Raheem Sterling for a fee of 20 million. Good luck with that one. I think you might have to take a big dive on that one. And Chelsea, you like this one. They've never done deals between each other. Chelsea defender Aaron Asimo is expected to move to Strasbourg on loan.
That's okay. I mean, I don't know how old is that guy. He's a kid, isn't he?
He's young. But
Chelsea,
I mean,
that's what a multi-club ownership's there to do, Johnny. Like, I'm not going to sit there and have a problem with that.
That's third one. I think it's the third. I'm not sure if it's the second or the third. But yes, that is why multi-club.
That's the purpose of having a multi-club ownership. So, that's fine with me. I've got no issue with that. And look, yeah, you're right though. Chelsea just seem like the toddler in the creche that you hand him a toy that he's been crying over. You give it to him, and the second you pick up the next toy, then they start crying about the fact they haven't got that one. You know, it's just a revolving door of incredible talent. Chelsea have an unbelievable ability to sell players at good value, and they have an unbelievable ability to buy players quickly, whether they're overpaying or otherwise. But to me, it's like, I think one of the magical things here, like we as an outsider can sit in, you guys in the chat, let us know. There's 300 people here. Love to see it. Thank you very much. Please do smash the like and hit the subscribe. Let us know, by the way, when you give your take on this in the comments, who it is that you're supporting, to let me so we can sort of gauge whether or not there's any sort of bias here. But like, if you're someone that's not a non-Chelsea fan looking in, then for the last couple of years, Johnny, I've kind of been really happy to see them do all the things that they do, but ultimately get nowhere. Until last 2 weeks ago, Chelsea hadn't sort of won anything other than the Conference League with all that money they spent, £2.5 billion in transfer fees, madness. And then they won the Club World Cup and they got their slap on the wrist for UEFA and all these things. And they definitely have this eBay model like you're talking about. And I think it's a great analogy. But the reality is that there's also possibly a long game here. As a Tottenham fan, looking into them, there's a chalk and cheese situation with regards relationships. We say it all the time, right? Daniel Levy has this zero-sum style of negotiation. Now, maybe he's no longer doing the things at Tottenham. Maybe it's someone else that's doing it. But in the past, Daniel Levy has burnt a hell of a lot of bridges. He doesn't have that many people that are willing to pick up the phone to him because he's a difficult guy to negotiate with. Whereas Chelsea have this ability to pick up the phone and get a deal done very quickly, both on the inward and the outward. And I think that's like, however it shakes it out, you have to sit there and go, like, if there's only like 50 teams that you're ever realistically going to deal with, then having the relationship that you've done where you just meet the asking price, or like those sorts of things bode well for the future in some and intangible.
Oh, here's a couple more. It's a couple more because one of the players that we like is the latest one to be linked with them, and that is Jarrell Hatto, the Ajax defender, who we're a big fan of. And the other player is Xavi Simons. Now, that's another, 100-odd million between the two, definitely. But they are looking to sell. They're looking to sell Diaz. They're looking to sell what's his name to Leeds, Chilwell to Leeds. They've got players to sell. They've got so many players. They're looking to offload, and they're just balanced. But it just is like a trade. That's why I call them eBay FC, because that is basically what they are. They're consistently trading. The amount of players in and out of that club over the last 2.5, 3 years is just insane. Absolutely insane. But somehow they managed to do it. I don't know how, but they do it.
Let's talk a little bit about Brian Mbeumo, mate. He finally got his move done. It's the Here We Go was dropped this morning, I think it was, and I was just seeing the pictures going around that he's got he's signing his contract over up in Manchester United at Carrington. They finally got their deal done. But do you think that Manchester United now, having overpaid what their initial asking price was, what their initial limit was, we didn't want to pay any more than the Cunha money. We ended up paying about 10 million, 8 million more or something. Brentford have got their money. Let's talk about the consequences and the connotations of that. Let's first and foremost start with United, and then once we're done with that, we'll come back to Brentford and talk about the connotations with Vissa and other players there. But for Manchester United, having overpaid a little bit more than they probably wanted to, and it taking a few weeks, and obviously Rashford now is gone, although
he's going to go. We've said right from the off that he's going to end up with all the links. We've always said here right from the start, he's going to go, we believe, on loan to Hansi Flick at Barcelona. It's the perfect fit for him. And the only thing he needed to do was get real, do what Anthony did, take a cut in his wages and behave like a human being. You've earned your money. You want to be a footballer. And Barcelona, if you can't cut your wages to go to Barcelona, and finally he looks like he's done it. Finally.
Listen, I think finally, like if there's Romero's agent or whoever it is giving him bad advice around how to handle certain things, I think somebody in the Rashford camp has finally gotten into Rashford and made some sense in his own mind and saying, like, if he's given up 10 million quid or whatever it was a season, or 5 million quid a year of his own salary to make the deal work, then Manchester United can now move on for the time being for a year. Barcelona get a guy that's on his day is unplayable. Let's be honest. On his day, he's one of the best. How many of the days in the calendar year are his day is the question. But Barcelona have got a guy, and he's playing for the club he wanted to play for. So it's a win-win-win. And I think it's smart in as much as that he has lowered his wage temporarily. So if he smashes it out of the park in Barcelona at 27 years old, you now have, the eyes of the world are still on you. It's not like you're going off to Saudi Arabia where everyone's going to forget about you. You're playing in a big tournament, in a big league, in a big competition, in the Champions League, yada, yada, yada. And you're doing it at a price point for salary-wise that allows you to also have more doors open to you in the future. I think it's a lot of sense.
So basically, right, Hansi Flick, I think, is a top coach. When you look at what he did with Rafinha, when Xavi was there, Rafinha was playing out wide. It really wasn't happening for him. It was talk about him leaving. Hansi Flick comes to the club, moves him inside, and he looks different levels, right? He looks different levels. But I do believe that Hansi Flick will play Rashford to his best, in his best position, and get the most out of him. He's that good a coach. I rate him that highly. And I do somehow think that Rashford, we will see a better version of Marcus Rashford at Barcelona than we have done in the last 18 months at Manchester United. That being said, he didn't have a bad cameo at Aston Villa when he went there before his injury. So I think that's a great move for everyone all round. There's also rumours that Jadon Sancho, his deal with Juventus looks like it's going to happen. Again, he's taken a bit of a wage cut. Juventus have offered him, based on the 20 million pounds that Chelsea had left to pay to get him on a permanent. They pay. It was originally 25 million, the purchase price. Chelsea chose to pay the 5 million fine instead. So that left 20 million pound. And I think Juventus are offering them 8 million euros or 8.5 million euros, plus a couple of add-ons depending on his performance. And Jadon Sancho has taken a wage cut. So that's 2 off of their books. And Anthony has also taken a cut now to get his move to Real Betis. So there is a bit of movement for Manchester United. The one player they really need to move on, Sean, is Højlund, I think.
Well, that's the question, right? So how much wiggle room do they have if they wanted to buy? Obviously, forget the Gyokeres deal, because I agree with you. I think it's and I agree with Ben Jacobs. I think it's incredibly unlikely. But if they wanted to go and get, I don't know, like a Dusan Vlahovic, someone like him, that might be knocking around, someone like a Johan Visser. Before we come to Brentford specifically, if United had have identified a target that they want to go after, Johnny, who would they? How would they be set up in your mind? For me, I think that they are still in a problem in as much as they've overpaid. They haven't really sold. They haven't really got any more money coming in to the club yet.
Yeah, they
cut. And so they've cut their wages, but they don't necessarily have the cash to be able to go and do something. I think that one of these players has to be sold. Somebody somewhere in that squad has to be sold to raise some money, whether that's younger players, whether that's a Kobe Mainu, whether that's a Garnacho. Someone somewhere has to be sold pretty quickly for them to have the money to be able to move into the next step of their transfer, rejig. But if I'm entirely honest, I still think that the priority now has to move back towards a centre-back or a goalkeeper. Well, I think that, yes, the Højlund thing is an issue, and certainly the Xerxes thing's an issue, but at some point they have to move back down the pitch.
Well, so yesterday's game, if you were a Man United fan watching the game against Leeds yesterday, I mean, they were firing blanks, but they still played with Matthew De Ligt. Luke Shaw was back and Mazraoui, but it's not good enough, right? I mean, you've got Ahmad on one side, who I really rate. You're going to have Mbeumo. Listen, I still think when you look up front with Cunha and Mbeumo, I feel they need another one. Garnacho's obviously surplus to requirements. They've got players to come back, but they definitely need, we've mentioned this before, they definitely need players at the back there. You've got to refresh that defence. I thought Leeds were the ones that looked impressive yesterday. I mentioned that throwing his toys out the pram yesterday, Cunha, when someone tried to take his ball off of him. But I thought Leeds, new boys, looked very good. And it was good to see Archie Gray's brother, Harry Gray, come on for Leeds yesterday.
How did he get on?
He came on in the 77th minute. He did all right. Come on the 77th minute. He's a kid. Spurs have been linked with acquiring him. He's meant to be a fantastic talent, but we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But I think Leeds, originally we said we thought Leeds were going to be the one team that had the ability to stay up this season because the new owners are spending the money and they're spending the money wisely. What was Leeds like against Man? It was 0-0. It was a draw, mate. It was a draw. Away.
The game? Well, the highlights, right?
I only watched some highlights, mate. I only watched the highlights. Longstaff came on, so Longstaff is there. I can't remember. Rodon and one of the new centre backs started. Can't remember who the other one was. Bogle. I think it's Bogle. I can't remember his flipping name. Jaden Bogle, is it? Can't remember.
Not sure.
Bijol. Sorry, I get them mixed up. Got them mixed up. What else have you got there, Shawnee?
Yeah, we've got a story from Nikar Kinsella of BBC Sport that's saying this is interesting, right? Oh, sorry, wrong screen. Here we go. Manchester United have held talks with Ali Barat, Nicholas Jackson's agent, over a potential move. A deal depends on outgoings, but it's the one that could happen under the right circumstances. Mate, we got to talk about this because I want to move to Brentford in a second, right? I do want to move to Brentford, but if they're moving, because at the same time, I brought it up a second ago. Just I'll show you this one. I'm not sure if it's still on the screen. If it isn't, yeah, it is. At the same time, so Romero has just tweeted the name that you talked about a minute ago, Sene Lamens or Sene Lamens, however you say it. The goalkeeper is where United are moving to next, right? So they've got the Mbeumo deal done. They still want these players to go out.
I might hear before Fabio.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I'm not sure where you got your story from. Where did you get it from? Was it on transfer
No,
market?
it's a feed that I use that's linked to Fabio actually.
So, understand Manchester United made initial contact to be informed on deal conditions for 23-year-old goalkeeper Sen Lamens. I don't know how you say it. Royal Antwerp goalkeeper. We spoke about this one. We looked at his stats a minute ago. So if they're moving in that direction, but then this other story comes out regarding Nicholas Jackson. How do you feel, mate? Like, let's just carry on the Man United sort of train here. Choo-choo. Cunha on the left, as it stands with Garnacho in rotation. Mbeumo on the right, as it stands with
you got Bruno Fernandes, you got Bruno Fernandes,
Ahmad on the right hand side, right? And then Nicholas Jackson, Xerxes, and Højlund. I still think they're miles away from their nine. Away from their nine.
Yeah, but look, I've got to be honest with you. Anything's better than Højlund, mate. Honestly, I mean, he's a 77 million euro disaster. He's been another player paid well over the odds for. They're trying to get rid of him to Italy, but look, we've still got Sesko, we've still got Jackson, we've still got Vlahovic. There's defenders. There's still Ollie Watkins, and of course, lurking in the background, there's that well-known international striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There's players waiting to be snapped up. It's like throwing the dice up right now and waiting for them to land right now. Man United are trying to do deals. They're trying to get stuff over the line, but they desperately need, in my opinion, they need a decent goalkeeper, as we said. And this goalkeeper looks quite good. But they need
you. I know you like to come for me. That's fine. Sean, United buying another player without the sales you said they needed. Another player or the player that they've been trying to buy for the last 2 months? What are we doing here, buddy? They haven't bought that many players, have they? They bought Cunha before the summer even started, and they bought Mbeumo that they've been trying to go. And they have actually raised some money by selling some players on from their youth academy, just so you know. But whether they can continue to do it, whether they can buy Nicholas Jackson without selling players, whether they can buy that goalkeeper, whether they can buy a centre-back, well, we shall see, my man. We shall see. But Manchester United, they're a cash cow, but they are 100% cost-cutting everywhere else. Jonny, I want to just, before I come to... Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, just say about Højlund, right? You know, there was a comment in there which I mentioned to somebody the other day, that maybe if you can't sell him, you send Højlund out on loan, because he's still very young, and there is a chance that he could develop and improve. Confidence breeds confidence. You know, goal scoring breeds confidence. Confidence breeds confidence. He's so lacking in it right now, and maybe a loan move to Italy or Spain or somewhere like that to try and find his mojo again, rather than try and get rid of him now, and then with the hope that if he does find it, bring him back, because that is a lot of money, 77 million euros, to then try and knock out for 35. But they don't even have punters at 35, 40 million at the moment. But Jackson, listen, the thing about Jackson is he gets in the position, if you're playing counter-attacking football, which Man United could well do, but his finishing's absolutely awful.
I think Jackson's a right winger, not a nine. I've always said that. When I saw him at Villarreal, I thought he was a better player. I think he's a better fit for a team that plays on the counter. He's a better fit for a team like a Wolves, like a Nottingham Forest, any team. Take your pick. A Fulham. Take your a sort of team that can allow his pace to take advantage if they set up in a certain way. I don't think he's a Manchester United sort of player, because I think that first of all, the width will come from their wing backs next season. It just doesn't make any sense to me to see him in the nine. He's just not good enough in the nine. He's not enough.
Chelsea will be selling Jackson, right? That's it, right? And they'll be trying to get rid of Nkunku as well. I mean, that one's gone very quiet. He's got his injury. Look, Chelsea have got about 8 players that they're willing to offload if someone comes in for the right money. And so there's so much intermingling of players right now. And as I said before, once one goes, it's going to trigger a whole load. We've got Ekitike coming in, Diaz going out. that might trigger a whole load of other moves that we haven't contemplated yet. But this guy you just brought up
just
on.
hang on, just before you go, so I want to finish my point, mate. I think that for me, that Nicholas Jackson, though, as a 9 for Manchester United, is not the right guy. If he gets there, if you can get, if someone else wants to come in, Chelsea won't get anything like 100. He's nothing like £100 million player. But if Manchester United really want him, I'm happy as Dave, because he is not a 9 that can do what what Manchester United want to do in the football and the version of football that United are going to play under Amorim. So I would be absolutely delighted if Manchester United personally went after him, because I think it will be another massive mistake, and they'll be trying to sell him in a couple of years' time, because he's just not that sort of player in that sort of system at all.
You think Chelsea will still be trying to sell him, or you mean Man
United?
United?
I think Chelsea will try to sell him. I'm just saying that if Manchester United, which is all the reports are saying that United are looking at,
well, they got Jackson. I think Xerxes is a better player than Højlund right now. If I had to put my money on one of those two, it would be Højlund, and I just think they need another one. I think that I wouldn't rule out them.
I'm talking about Nicholas Jackson, though.
I know.
Nicholas Jackson is the target for Manchester United. It makes no sense to me, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, that's rumoured. That's all it is, rumoured, right? But Nicholas Jackson will be leaving Chelsea, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Along with Nkunku.
I hope so, but they won't get anything like £100 million for him. I do want to talk about Brentford, though, Johnny, but this one's on the screen right now. Richard Rios, the player that both of us were talking about for ages. We wanted him to come to Tottenham. He was linked to Tottenham. He's gone to Benfica to replace. I mean, they've lost a couple. They're losing a couple of players. Aktoglu. They're losing Orkun Koku as well. Both players are slightly more advanced, but they've gone into Richard Rios. And it seems like a really, really good. It's a perfect transfer for Benfica, and like someone has been bringing up in the comment section, I think 100 times today.
Yeah,
he'll be worth 80 million quid immediately, because Benfica work, isn't it?
I think he's quite old. I think he's about 27, so I'm not sure if he'll be going for 80 million when he leaves. But he's a top player. He was one of the standout players for Palmeiras in the World Club Cup, that's for sure. But there's another one gone. And now we have to move on to players that are available. And there's plenty of talent. There's plenty of top talent that ready to be. Oh, he's 24. Okay. But we'll see.
I think he's 25, actually, Aussie man.
We're not going to argue over a year or two.
I want to talk about Brentford, mate. Do you think that the story that obviously Mbeumo's gone, does that change the market for and the price, the cost for Johan Visser? Because he's obviously been linked everywhere in the last couple of days.
It doesn't change the price, because they've set the price, but they're not going to sell him. And it's already been reported that they've offered him a bumper new contract to keep him at the club, because he's got a 1+1 deal left. They would have to make him a massive deal. And I think the only way he signs that deal is with a release clause if they get relegated for a reasonable fee, like a £30 million or £25 million release fee if they get relegated. I can't see him signing a new one unless they offer him some good deal. They're going to sign more players. One of my players that I really liked, another one who left Chelsea for Ipswich, Amari Hutchinson's available, but then they said they're not going to pay the 35 million release clause that Ipswich want. I'm not sure if there's any sell-on from Chelsea, but I think 20 million was quite, a good amount of money for his age when they paid it. I just can't see how Brentford can allow Visser to go, even if he wants to go, unless they have two top strikers or somebody lined up who's willing to come to them. I just can't see it, Sean. Can you?
No, I think that it was one or the other. I think Manchester United ended up balking and paying the price because they were worried that Newcastle or someone was going to come in and pay an overinflated price. I think that if someone paid £50 million for Visser, they were overpaying more than Manchester United paying £70 million for Mbeumo. I think so. I think Brentford are probably happy to let one go. If they let both go, I think they find themselves in the same sort of bracket or bucket of Bournemouth, if I'm entirely honest. And by the way, I'm not sure if we brought this up a couple of days ago on the last time we did our show, Johnny, but we've been talking about Bournemouth. I thought that the Zabarnyi deal was done. It obviously hasn't been done. I think that PSG are like losing interest in the price point, but Zabarnyi still is of access to somebody, and it looks like Tottenham are very much, according to all reports. It doesn't make much sense to me, but according to all reports, Tottenham are front and centre and apparently willing to meet them asking price. 2 questions on this one. One is, do you think there's any legitimacy to the notion that Tottenham would be in for him? And 2,
no.
What's going on with Tottenham? Okay, so that's 1. 2, what's going on with Tottenham where all of a sudden asking prices are willing to be met, wage demands are not a problem? Like, this is a new version of Tottenham, isn't it? According to the reports that we're seeing.
Look, the thing is, Spurs are interested in a few players. I can't see Lacroix being the player. Zabarnyi, at the beginning of when we started this show, he was majorly linked to PSG, as we know, for some of their aging defenders, but that seemed to fall away. Spurs are linked with him. Listen, he's a good player, young Ukrainian. I think that he was sort of overshadowed a bit by the fact that Dean Huijsen was getting all the plaudits at Bournemouth, but he's a very, very good defender, a very good centre-back. Having watched Vuskovic yesterday, and with all the other players that we've got in the team, the other centre-backs they've got at Spurs right now, I just don't see how this one's happening just yet. But as I said to you, Sean, right from the beginning of the transfer window, I told you that the priority at the beginning, the first priority was a centre-back and a right winger. The right wing has been done. Is the centre-back still there? We don't know what the plans are for everybody and anybody at the moment because he's still assessing half the squad. So I think it's legit, but I honestly think if he could choose between Spurs and PSG, it's not exactly a tough choice, is it?
No, it's not. There's no argument here from me. Like, I'd be very surprised. To be entirely honest, but if Tottenham are gonna if that was a deal we were gonna happening, it would have to be predicated for me on the idea that that Romero was leaving. And again, it always comes back to this same sort of logical reasoning for me. If Romero is as good as Romero thinks he is, where are the bids for Romero?
Spurs, look, you keep saying that, but they're not. He's not going. And if they do, that someone's going to have to come in with a massive bid.
He wants to go.
Well, you don't know he wants to go,
and you don't know he doesn't want to go. But he has made. He had an interview on the Tottenham training ground where he said that he was happy to go to Madrid, go to Spain.
I don't listen to half of that crap, right? Because sometimes context, sometimes the way it's asked. Right, and I know you're not keen. I mean, how did you feel when he walked out as captain yesterday?
No, I don't like the guy.
I know.
I think he's a dickhead. I think he's treated Tottenham in a certain way, and I think he thinks he's above Tottenham Hotspur 100%. I think that it's outrageous that he called out our owner, and he basically the timing, not him, his social team, his agent, whoever. I think that I from the day that he took an injury and then spent 6 weeks out as it led up to the World Cup that was in the middle of the season, and the very first day that he was out doing full training with Argentina. That annoyed me. His petulance with regards the fact that he dropped his "see you later" Ange thing on the day that your boy Thomas Frank came in. I think that you should be pissed off with that as much as anyone else was, but you're not. That he had a
he's a winner.
It's not a win. That's not a winner thing to do. That's a dickhead thing to do.
Listen.
Hang on, let me finish my point, Johnny. Let me finish my point, bro. The fact that he did that on the day that Thomas Frank joined, I think, was outrageous. I think the thing that he said to Ange was, "Oh, you and I, we battled together despite the obstacles that are in front of us and always have been, always will be." When he's talking about our club that backed Ange Postecoglou to the tune of £400 million in 2 years. Is entirely just inaccurate and a dickhead thing to do. I think it was really actually inferred but nasty to sit there and give the credit to Argentina and their medical team who had him for about a week. I'm not finished, mate.
Yeah, but it's true.
It's not. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not, mate. You're supposed to be a leader. You're employed by a fucking club, Johnny. Have some respect for the club that pays your wages. You pay his wages. I pay his wages. The guy's a donut. He might be a very, very talented player, but the guy's a dickhead. No, I'm not moving on, mate. I'm finishing my point. Johnny. Okay, he's not captain material. If he wants to stay and play, get on board the program. If you don't, then go and find someone that's willing to pay the money. Otherwise, like, shut the fuck up. Sorry, Johnny. I know you don't feel the same as me, mate, but don't tell me to move on, bro. Pisses me off. That pisses me off. I'm serious.
Sean is pissed off. Listen, for me, he's a leader. He's a winner, right? He's a winner. We disagree decisively on that one. Let's put it like that. Look, the thing is, for me, the guy wants to win and the club hasn't shown ambition enough. And yeah, sometimes you make stupid comments and I don't agree that he should have made those comments. I can't disagree with Sean on that. But to say that I mean, listen, there aren't many better defenders, in my opinion, when you come to the big games. But
when he's available.
Anyway. Also,
it's a story for us though. Let's move on. If you're okay to move on, if I'm okay to move on, you okay to? I've not asked you. Make sure you're
okay to move on, Shawnee.
Okay, fair enough. How about this one? Vinny Jr. is demanding the same salary as Kylian Mbappe, but Real Madrid are refusing. They don't want to give in to his wage demands after his lackluster season. That's from, I don't know who El Debate is. Sounds like a good name. I wouldn't mind that as a handle for a YouTube channel. The player has requested that contract talks be suspended. That's from Sport. Vinny Jr., mate, Real Madrid. Listen, Xabi Alonso's walked into that outfit, and I think this is not the first time. I've seen 3 or 4 different players that are being linked with similar sorts of kind of notions here. There was a story about the World Cup, the Club Cup, where Paris were where Alonso was pissed off with his effort with Vinny Jr., with Mbappe, with all of them, that basically saying this isn't what we do under my tutelage, mate. We work hard, similar to what the Luis Enrique situation happened with Mbappe. Like, is Xabi Alonso walking into a team of Galacticos and doesn't know how to handle, or maybe does, but like these teething problems of how do you make sure that the Galacticos know who the boss is?
Well, listen, for me, that Club World Cup just smacked when PSG played Real Madrid 2-0 down and Mbappe's like laughing and joking. I mean, honestly, that infuriated me. I mean, you might say some of the things infuriated you. They're not even my team, and that infuriated me. And that's why, for me, you know, when you look at that isn't professionalism. That is taking the piss when you're on the amount of money that you're on, and that you should have that attitude. You should be leading by example. And it just shows why PSG got rid of him. And I think Vinicius Jr., there's who's got the biggest bollocks, right, in that club right now. I'm better than him. He's better than me. Meanwhile, in the background are Al Hilal. The Saudis are really going to try and put together a package to try and draw Vinicius Jr. with the biggest package offered to a player since Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't think, though, at his stage of his career, this is the right move for him to do that. I really don't. I think, you know, knuckle down and worry about playing football. That's it with a lot of these players. Honestly, they seem, obviously the money's important, obviously, but he's on huge money as it is, and he's still going on about the money. This is where all of them go wrong, right? If you perform, the clubs offer you all the gold you can eat anyway. Yeah, worry about how you perform on the football pitch. It's happened so many times, and I just, I don't know. It just annoyed me that game with Mbappe, and they got exactly what they deserved on the day. I'm not a big fan of Mbappe. I'm not saying he's a bad player, because obviously we know he's not. But I don't like a player that turns up as and when he feels like it. And Vinicius Jr. has the same thing going else, but no one's going to pay the money other than the Saudis that he wants. There's no one in football. Manchester United aren't going to pay that money again under Jim Ratcliffe, 400 grand a week. I can't see it. So,
could Bayern Munich tempt him to go to Germany?
Not for the money that he's wanting. I don't think. I can't see it. I mean, Rodrigo.
Could Liverpool?
No, I don't think so. I think Rodrigo.
Could Arsenal? They're looking for a left winger.
I think Rodrigo's had enough of it all, and that's why he wants to leave. I mean, he stated he wants to get out. Maybe he's had enough of the dick swinging between Mbappe and Vinicius Jr.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a player in his own right.
It's hard though, isn't it, Johnny? Because when you get to that level and you're still unhappy, like where else do you can't go much? There's nowhere else to go higher than Real Madrid, is there? There's nowhere.
But it's not about the football. This guy's not about the football. And as is quoted on the thing, he's already on 400 grand a week. Thanks for popping that in the chat. He's on 400 grand a week, and he's looking for 600 grand a week. And if money is only your thing, and you don't care about the football,
and go to Saudi,
and let Real Madrid get, I don't know, 200 million pound or 150 million pound, whatever they'll bid, to get him to go to Saudi, and then he can come to Spurs and buy Christian Romero. Job done. Everyone's happy.
That'll make me happy. That'll make me happy. As long as we can go and find someone else. Johnny, look, there's another story about, whilst we're on the Real Madrid train here, that they have, according to L'Equipe, contacted Liverpool once again. This isn't a new story, but it keeps getting banded around. The Reds have not given up on extending his contract. What's your stance? If there's a way that Real Madrid can get Konate,
no chance, mate. I just can't.
You don't think he's going to go at all? You think he's going to leap a free at the end of the season?
Yeah, listen, already, as it stands, Liverpool have got a problem here, right? Because, as I said before, they've got Gomez, Konate, and they've got Van Dijk. That's not strong enough as a centre-back to go into Champions League and a Premier League season, okay? Up front, great. Midfield, great. Defensively, in the middle, centre-backs, they're not strong enough. I'm not sure why they got rid of Quansah without knowing for sure what was going on. Konate's not going to sign a new contract. They've lost Virgil van Dijk to Real Madrid, who were willing to pay that £10 million to get them to the Club World Cup. I think Konate...
Oh, no, not Van Dijk.
Trent. Sorry, Trent. But I think he's going to wait until the summer and negotiate himself a fantastic deal to Real Madrid. And I think, judging by the performance against PSG, Real Madrid, I mean, they've got Højsund, they've got Trent, but I think they could do with another centre-back. Konate would be great. But even so, I think that Liverpool maybe had hoped that they'd sign Mark Guéhi. Whether or not they can still pull that off, again, why would Mark Guéhi sign now when he can go for a free in the summer and negotiate himself a fat contract, or even in January overseas on a free? So I think Liverpool got a problem. I can't see Konate going to Real Madrid just yet, unless they make some ridiculous offer which enables Liverpool to then go and sign Mark Guéhi. Can't see it. Guys, if you're in the chat and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. And if you're here for the first time, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and let you know when we're going to go, because we never know when we're going to go between sort of 9:30 in the morning and 9:30 at night.
Couple of super chats. Mr. Pox Office says, spin the wheel for wingers in the Serie A, please. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that one, but no idea. We can spin the wheel though, Johnny, if you want to.
How many have we got in the chat? How many have we got in the chat?
400 people here. There's 400 people here. If you want us to pick our German teams for the season, I'll be honest, I've struggled to find a Roma shirt that's going to fit me, but I'm still working on that one. We can do the German teams if you want, Johnny, but before we make that decision, Cat Funt has come up in and said, well, good to see you, Cat Funt. He said, big up, Sean and Johnny. Great to see you. Great to see you too, my man. Great to see you too.
Thank you. Right. So I'll just give you some more news. We got Arsenal, right? Arsenal want to sign Nelson Viper, not Windscreen Viper. He's from Mainz. Now, apparently Spurs were looking at this guy as well.
Yeah.
But also Spurs were linked to another player. What's his name now? Yes, Keishu Sano, the Mainz midfielder. I don't know if you remember this. He was involved in some controversy just after he signed for Mainz when three mates apparently took advantage.
Yeah, it was a sexual harassment job, wasn't it?
Yeah, sexual harassment. Apparently that one got dropped.
Interesting player. I've run him through the Y Scout last week. He's it's pretty interesting player, to be honest, mate. He's a little guy though. He's like, if he's playing in a 6 and he's like 5'7", I didn't really know too much about him, but I did run him through the Y Scout, and I was pretty impressed with his tackling stats and his ability to progress the ball forward. And I think that's what Tottenham should look for in a 6 is reminiscent of like a Caicedo. Like if you're going to get a 6 that's going to be someone who wins the ball back and then looks to drive the ball forward, then sometimes that's a good way of doing it. Depends on the system and the style that you play. If you can break the lines. But ultimately, like a Caicedo, for a team like Chelsea, who want to sit with most of their players in the opposition box, when they get transitioned on, and then Caicedo knows where the ball's going to be, and he's got that ability to pick up and read the game and then intercept, what he does, he just gives it back, feeds it back to the Chelsea winger or Chelsea the 10 or whatever else, and they just go again. So it's less about him and more about just recycling the ball and getting it forward. For me, for my search and my stats, I think that Sano, however you say it, is a guy that is more of a. He seems to want to progress the ball with the ball at his feet, and so I'm not sure if it's really the sort of 6 that we're looking for. It's not it's a different type of 6 to like a Polinia, or a Caicedo.
What about the Viper, Nelson Viper? I mean, Arsenal are looking at him, and Spurs were linked with him as well. And I mean, despite signing Gyokeres, they're still looking at him because he's not, a big money signing. Maybe there's something in it when you've got both clubs looking at him. Seems to have been happening a little bit lately when Spurs and Arsenal have been looking at the same player. But
I don't know. To be honest, I haven't looked at him enough. He got 5 goals in the Bundesliga last year. I think he got like 25 in the under-17s or something the year before, or whatever. So, but then you could make that same argument for a lot of players, right? Like it's a massive step up. I think in 37 games last season, he got 5 goals and 2 assists. So didn't exactly smash it out of the park, but I don't know enough about him.
I mean, look, so Arsenal, they look like they're going to get rid of Trossard. No news on Martinelli, but they're definitely looking to offload Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira, and Albert Lokonga. Reece Nelson. Fulham are looking to try and tie up a permanent deal with him. Fulham. They're off to Singapore on tour, so we'll wait and see with that one. There are other ones. We got Brighton. Look like Ethan Ferguson. That deal's fluctuating between a permanent deal and a loan deal with Roma, but now it's looking like they're going to do a loan with an option. 40 million euros. Sure, they're still going to get 40 million. It's an option. But I don't think they'll take up that option. I don't know about you, but I think Evan Ferguson will go there.
My team.
Your team.
My team. Yeah.
Your team. Yeah. So that could be an interesting one. So just a loan fee.
It's amazing, isn't it amazing though how when he had his breakout season, I remember, because I'm going to call out Dave, the Irish Hotspur here, because he always calls me out for Gift Orban. All right. When Gift Orban was linked, I was like, I rate the guy. And Dave never let me forget it. But Dave rated his countryman, Evan Ferguson, said Spurs should pay the £100 million for Evan Ferguson. He's generational. And he's ended up being like so many others, right? Like they have a good moment and then they end up just falling off the cliff. And that is the problem when it comes to teams that pivot towards a youth-centric model. Like if everybody's doing it at the same time, you start all fishing in the same pool and you end up overpaying because of demand and supply. And you end up paying massive money for players that haven't done anything. They haven't had more than a few minutes of of the time in the limelight. And for me, Evan Ferguson is one of those players that is a massive lesson for most people as to why you shouldn't be paying £40 million for 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, whatever. I don't. Evan Ferguson looked like a decent option, but he's fallen off. And unfortunately, all of the Y Scouts, all of the FB refs, all of the transfer markets, all of these things in the world can't do the one thing that you need to know about 18-year-olds is what's their intangibles, what's their mental strength like. There is no stat for that.
No, there's no stat for that. But listen, I think it's a good deal all round. It's a good deal for Brighton because if he does perform, they're going to get the 40 million euros. And if he does perform and rekindle some of the form that we saw and the talent, 40 million euros won't be a bad buy. Another player Brighton are looking, well, not looking to sell, but look like they might have to sell is Pervis Estupiñán, who looks like he's finally going to tie up a deal with AC Milan because they're looking for a replacement for Theo Hernandez. That one looks like it's going to do. Damasio's reporting that one. Everton are really twerking for James McAtee. I don't know how many other options he's got. He's not going to go to Brentford. I'm not sure. I think James McAtee would fit very nicely with David Moyes' Everton. I think it's the sort of team that might be good for him at his age. And Everton are also looking to make a move for this. This one's going to be the interesting one of the transfer window. Where does Jack Grealish go, Sean? I mean, does anyone buy him? Do they loan him? Is he a lost soul? Is he a lost soul? Is he sort of Marcus Rashford?
He's a lost soul. I just think he's surplus to requirements at Manchester City. I think that people have this idea that he's become like he's put his feet up a little bit. And I think that there's reason to probably agree with that or to kind of buy into the idea because, you know, like the last time we really saw him was at the end of the Champions League winning season when he came out when he was drunk out of his head on the trophy parade, and then he didn't really play last season at all. And Pep Guardiola's basically made it entirely clear that he's not really wanted by him anymore. And yeah, like if you want to find a reason to defend it, if you want to say, well, you know, Pep Guardiola's defended him in public speaking, all that stuff, fair enough. But you know, talk is cheap. And the actions speak louder than words. And the actions are that he barely got any minutes, and that Manchester City are moving on. I don't think he's repaid the £100 million asking price at all.
Definitely not.
And I don't think that he'll get a move. But I think that Manchester City would bite your hand off for like 25 or maybe for 40 million quid for him. But in reality, I think that nobody wants to take a punt on a guy who is most recently remembered for being a party guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you in the chat there would love Johnny to have a go at Pep for diminishing his price like he did say about hammering for Rashford. Well, I will repeat it because he's made it so, he's been so vocal about how he doesn't fit in. It's left us to believe that that's exactly why, because whether or not he's a pisshead or he's not committed or his attitude stinks, it does not send a great message. If he was in the squad, but only getting a few minutes here and there, you could dress it up. But right now, our image, as Sean just said, of him pissed after the Champions League is how we will remember him. It's not for any football he's done since. So therefore, Pep Guardiola's comments and his refusal to get involved with it and just saying he's not going to be involved has diminished his value. Because right now,
I wonder whether he'd go on as a loan deal to if Palace sold Eze. Could Palace go and tempt him to go and play there on a loan deal?
Back to Villa on loan?
Or back to Villa, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Better option actually. Him going back, prodigal son returns, but they just do another loan deal because they're in financial plight. They pay half the wages and no fee.
I think that's what it's going to be. I think loan to Villa. If I was going to have a bet, that would be where it's a sad state of affairs that a player of that quality has gone down that route. What other ones have we got? Let's go on to Spurs. Come on, we are Spurs fans after all. João Palhinha, Christian Falk. What are we thinking about this, Sean? Do we think this has got a distinct possibility? We'd like to think so, right?
Yeah, man. I think it's the best bit of business. 25 million quid. I think it's the best bit of business of the summer if Tottenham can get him. He doesn't even have to play all the time. He doesn't. He just needs to play in certain situations. Like he's the guy who wins the ball back and then gives it back to. He is that guy. Like he's an older version of a Caicedo. He's a monster who win the ball back, challenge, and just offlay it to someone else who can do more with it. And we have technical players dotted throughout our team that that can kind of. That can go missing with their decision making in and around the sixth position. And I think if you just get that and hand it over to a Bentancur, hand it over to a Morgan Gibbs-White, hand it over to a Lucas Bergwall, once he's won the ball back, I think it'll be a breath of relief, a breath of fresh air for the centre backs that are behind him that know that he can just take care of business. He doesn't always have to be a part of it. It's not like you need him in every game, but in certain games, he will absolutely be vital, either from the start or off the bench. I think 25 million quid, you get it done, or a loan deal where you pay his wages, but you don't pay a fee, whatever. But someone like him is exactly what the Tottenham squad is missing. And I think it would be, if he's available and we can make it happen, I think it should be the absolute next bit of business that Tottenham do after resolving one way or the other the Gibbs-White saga.
For me, I was a massive fan of his at Sporting Lisbon.
Johnny, if you just real quick, if you've got more time to carry on, I'm just busting through a wee. Is it possible?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it's fine. Okay. So I was a massive fan of his at Sporting Lisbon. He was there on loan, and then he's gone to Fulham, which I was really shocked about, if I'm brutally honest. And he's gone there. And he was just absolutely outstanding. And I kept going on and on. I wish Spurs would buy him. And I was gutted, I've got to be honest, when he went to Bayern Munich for 55 or 50 million euros. But it just really hasn't happened for him. I think he played 17 games, 17 league games last season for Bayern Munich. And I think he played something like 550 minutes. He hardly got any game time. I think he got one game. It wasn't even a full game in the Club World Cup. He was just 30 beginning of this month. I think Spurs would only offer him a 3-year deal. I can't see, well, they're not going to offer him a 5-year deal, that's for sure, at 30 years of age. I think a 3-year deal, I think you need some experience, and he's the guy that we need. And, you know, if Archie Gray is ever going to become a 6, he can learn under the tutorship of someone like Paulinho. I'm quite happy with Douglas Luiz coming as well, but Paulinho, for my love of him, as I said, at Sporting and at Fulham, I would be delighted for him to come here. I was just saying, Sean, was just returning that, you know, his minutes last year, 17 games in the Bundesliga, only about 550 minutes in total in the Bundesliga last season. Which was a bit disappointing. But, you know, at 30 years of age, I don't see Daniel Levy giving him any more than a 3-year contract, or maybe a 2+1.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but I'd imagine that Josh Kimmich got the most of those minutes, didn't he?
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, you know, 550 minutes isn't good. So when we're judging, so a lot of people said he didn't have a good season last season. Is that is that because of his lack of game time, because of the quality that's in front of him? But there again, they paid 50 million euros for him, so they obviously valued him, but he just didn't get the game time, which you know, is a concern. Mark Shelton said, I was going on about obviously Jack Grealish being a bit of a pisshead. He says, nothing wrong with being a pisshead, Johnny. The great George Best, Greavesy, Gaza, we're all pissheads. Listen, genius is often flawed. But not for me, my friend. Not for me. For Grealish, I think his ship has sailed. I think we need someone who can we can rely on. And as Thomas Frank says, no dickheads at this club. The other person we've been linked to, I've mentioned Keisha Sanu, is Aston Villa's midfielder Jacob Ramsey. What are you thinking about this one, Sean?
Yeah, no, don't rate it. I don't want it. Yeah, It's not for me. I don't know what position he really fits into our squad. He's like a he's a left midfielder. So what is that, like a second 8 on the left? Does that come in instead of Morgan Gibbs-White? Some people were rating him to be as a left winger. He's definitely not a left winger. No. So he's a good player, but the part of me doesn't want to help Villa out as well. I love the fact that Villa aren't doing anything right now. I love that. You know, that they're sort of cop blocking themselves because of prior, you know, and look, like I say, no disrespect to the Villa fans, but the club have, in essence, sort of cheated by one competition's rules and wiggle roomed their way through another, and that they are still able to participate in Europe despite. And if it wasn't for the fact of a refereeing faux pas in the last season, they'd be in the Champions League 100%. And getting. And like, it's outrageous. So like, you know, like live within your means. You can't live within your means right now. Okay, suck it up. Suck it up. Sell your best players. Sell Ollie Watkins. Morgan Rogers might be going to Chelsea. I mean, that one annoys me a little bit. That Morgan Rogers is, if he's going to go anywhere, he's going to go to a team that doesn't need him, but they're going to take him anyway because that's just what they do, isn't it? They just buy everyone they possibly can that's any good. It's like they literally play Football Manager, you know, with the cheat mode on, and it's very, very frustrating. But
he's not for me either. There was one mentioned in the chat who I mentioned over a year ago. I'd like to see Spurs sign, and that's Gyokeres. You know, I love Gyokeres when he was playing with Pedro Neto. Really linked well. I'm not sure if he played with Morgan Gibbs-White or he was there long enough to play with Morgan Gibbs-White. But Gyokeres is another Brazilian midfielder who I really, really like the look of. But again, not been mentioned. I'd just like to see Armand Dashwari come. I mean, that would be, for me... do you know what? I'm going to say this. I think James Maddison could struggle this season under this system, under Thomas Frank. He likes high intensity, high press, aggressive football. And I'm just not sure whether James Maddison is up to that sort of physicality. I mean, I really like him. I'm a fan of James Maddison, but I'm just not sure whether or not he's going to be able to cope with this physicality. Sean, what are you reckoning?
I think that James Maddison is, when he's fit, when he's fully fit and engaged and up for it, I think he's one of the best 10s in the game, in the Premier League. But as you always rightly say, like that's only the case for 33% of the time at most, right?
What about the physicality? I was more sort of the physicality part of the game. I'm not sure.
Well, look, I mean, he took an absolute bruising in the biggest moment of our season, didn't he? He was responsible for us getting to the final. As much as I think the guy's a bit of a fake it till you make it with his words a little bit. I think he talks a lot of whack, but he latches on to moments where he can, because he's quite intelligent, where he muds people that are having a crack at him. And when Roy Keane said, "How'd you get on in the final?" But really well played. And James Maddison said, well, I'm the reason we got there. And it was like a sly dig at him, probably also a sly dig at the rest of the team. But actually, if you're being fair, I mean, he did win the penalty in a very brave moment. So, in terms of physicality, look, is he going to handle it against Arsenal centre-backs? No. But can he draw fouls by his trickery? Like sometimes there's like a value to being a bit of a lightweight if you know what you're doing. The difference was like with someone like a Brian Hill that was a complete lightweight. Yeah. He didn't know how to utilize the kind that saying, like it's a weakness and a strength, if you know what I mean, that you can use it in. And I think James Maddison is fine. For me, I haven't got a problem with the player. I haven't got a problem with his size, his strength, or any of those things. I just have a problem with his motivation. I don't think he turns up enough when he can. And I think that Thomas Frank won't tolerate that. So I think that Decky, when you've got a fully fit roster, I think Decky gets more minutes than James Maddison.
What I'm saying to you here is, let me clarify here. I'm not in any shape, way, or form saying that James Maddison is not a good player, right? What I'm saying is, with the type of gameplay, he wants an aggressive, high press, right? Pressing the ball high, aggressive in the tackle. I'm just not sure whether James Maddison's game can cope with that. I'm not saying he's not going to have good moments or he's not going to put players through with his passing and that. I'm just not sure whether he's physically up to that. I think Damsgaard, who he had at Brentford, is physically better to cope. I'm not suggesting getting Damsgaard in, by the way. I'm just saying whether or not we need a more physical number 10. Because let's be honest, he is going to get injured, and maybe Kulu is that player that will end up getting more game time under Thomas Frank, which is where I was going with it originally, Shawnee. Mm-hmm. That Kulu could be the one that thrives more under Thomas Frank than James Maddison.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I said. I think that, but Decky's a guy that seems to leave nothing on the pitch, right? Like, he seems to go too hard, and he seems to be, if we call like Maddison's 33 and a third, as you call it, yeah, I think that Maddison, so that Decky's 50%. But it's not like he's a 50% player. It's that he only lasts for half a season because he doesn't leave much for the second half. He busts his lungs out and he busts his arse every game, and people call him four lungs, right? But he fades away in the second half of the season because he doesn't have much left in the tank. So you have to manage that a bit better.
Stan Kush, when you say a high, that Frank doesn't play a high press, he wants aggressive press. You have to work hard and you have to be aggressive in his system. If you watch PSG, for example, under Enrique, their press is high and aggressive to try and win the ball back. He expects you to work hard off the ball and on the ball. It's as simple as that. And, we're not doubting James Maddison's talent, but I'm just saying it's his game is more physical.
Yeah. I don't disagree though with Cynical Dad here, who's, I've been saying this about the fact, if you can have a player on both wings, I'm not sure we have it with Sonny anymore, but if you can get a left winger that can take players on, if you can get a right winger that can take players on, and you have a 6 or an 8 or centre backs that can ping balls into the channel and you can switch the play, then what you're left with is a situation where the defensive line has to make a decision whether the fullback asks for help. And if they don't want help, then if you've got a Kudos that can take one man on and beat him, then you have value. And if the fullback asks for help from the centre back and doubles up, then if you do that on both sides, you end up with situations where the 10 will be left with a lot of space if you can put it back into the middle. Similar to almost how what Kudos did yesterday when he beat the man and then ended up whipping it back into Donnelly's feet, little step overs and things. Yeah. I think that sort of situation can manifest all day long, especially if you have two guys, one on the right, one on the left, that are terrifying, and you have midfielders that can find
and
those
aren't inverting, Sean. I mean, how great was it not to see them coming inside? I mean, Destiny Udogie looked reborn out wide. I mean, yeah, he play better, yes, but the amount of space when you invert, a player like that needs the space to run. Okay, when he was inverting and running into running into Piccadilly Circus, he had nowhere to go. And then the overlap runs. How many overlap runs did we see yesterday? Yes, it didn't come, but we saw a lot of overlap runs in both halves, and I think it bodes well. But as you might rightly say, maybe he will have more space in the middle. But Maddison, but he will be expected to work hard and be aggressive in the tackle, and I'm just not 100% sure he's up to it. But no inverting yesterday. That's all I wanted to see. And the one thing Sean and I were reveling in was the fact that pre-game, normally we see the 3 defenders or 4 defenders in the halfway line with a ball being whipped over their heads and the players trying to head it back. Absolute waste of time. What we saw yesterday pre-game was a full defensive drill that was going on for about 3 or 4 minutes, where they were whipping balls in and they were forming lines, properly learning how to defend. Sean, what did you make of that?
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Yeah, it was a lovely first First showing, as I said earlier, I think that for me the difference between 2 weeks of Frank Ball and 2 years of Ange Ball just showed that we've got. I think I said it on a video I did this morning. Like, we've got a rough diamond of a squad. I've always thought that just needs to be polished in the right way, and that we can get some diamonds out of it. And I think that Cochrane and Thomas Frank, on every level yesterday, their engagement, the energy in the pre-warm up, in the halftime warm up, in the warm down, in the fact that they were sitting there looking at their tactics on their iPad things, just the engagement, it was just energy, it was just infectious, and it was wonderful to see. Johnny, I've got to go, mate, in a second. Is there anything else you need to talk about, mate?
No, that's good, guys. If you're in the chat and you haven't hit the like button, please hit the likes. Thanks very much, guys, for all of you. Tomorrow we'll probably do one. I'm off to Mallorca tomorrow, but that won't stop us doing a stream. We'll do one probably sometime in the afternoon, if that's all right with Sean. Yeah. And if you're here for the first time, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're on audio, please hit the follow button and leave us a review if you get time on Apple or Spotify. No, that's it, Sean. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark, for the super chat, mate. Good afternoon, fellas. Hope you both well. We are both very well, mate. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. Thanks to everyone else for the super chat. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. We're back tomorrow with another one. Like, subscribe, and comment. It's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.
See you guys. Take care. Bye.